At 2:14 a.m., a single sharp thud echoed through the morgue, coming from drawer 27.
Drawer 27 is empty. I checked the manifest hours ago.
He pulled the clipboard again, ran his finger down the grid. Column 27, vacant.
Someone logged a body and forgot to write it down. That's all. Gotta be.
The drawer was silent now, but a cold certainty settled in his stomach. He crossed the room. Drawer 27 was sealed. No handle movement, but a thin whisper of mist curled from the lower edge.
I've handled 1,000 bodies. I've seen death. I don't believe in ghosts.
He pulled. The drawer slid open on unoiled rails, cold fog spilling across the polished floor. Under the sheet, a human shape, still. But the laminated toe tag caught his eye.
Evan Michaels. Date of death. 3 days from now. That's impossible.
The corpse's eyes snapped open. Not a flutter, a deliberate mechanical blink.
Number. Rigor mortis set in hours ago. This body isn't fresh.
He stumbled backward, but his spine hit the cold edge of another drawer. Trapped, the dead mouth opened. A voice like gravel dragged over dry paper recited a string of numbers with unnatural precision. A 10-digit phone number. Area code 313. Each digit fell into the silence like a drop of freezing water. Then, the jaw clamped shut. The eyes slid closed. The body was a body again, utterly still.
Write it. Write it now before your brain wipes it as impossible.
His gloved hand shook so badly, the pen skated across the page. He scrawled the number on a corner of the intake sheet.
The body was empty. I know the log. Drawer 27 was empty.
He stared at the scrawled digits, then at the toe tag with a date that hadn't happened yet.
Marcus, get down to the morgue. Now. There's something in drawer 27.
Anthony, it's 2:15. This better not be a false alarm.
30 seconds later, the morgue door swung open and Marcus Webb filled the frame, flashlight cutting through the cold air.
All right, show me what you found.
Anthony pulled the handle again, but the drawer glided out with no resistance. Empty. Only a faint wisp of cold fog.
It was here. It had a toe tag. It spoke to me.
Log doesn't show any incoming body for 27. Nothing for days. You sure you weren't asleep? Look, I am not writing this up. You were probably dreaming. Get some coffee.
Marcus left, his footsteps echoing down the long white hallway. Anthony stood alone, the phone number burning a hole in his pocket.
He thinks I am losing it. Maybe I am. But that number, I didn't invent it.
His shift ended at 6. The drive home was a blur of black ice and empty intersections. Inside his apartment, the silence was worse than the morgue. He didn't turn on the lights.
The toe tag had a date that hadn't happened yet, but the voice gave me a number.
He circled the 17th of July on his calendar. 3 days. Less now.
If I call, I am admitting it was real. If I don't, I'll always wonder.
He lay back, stared at the ceiling, and replayed the sound of that dead voice until dawn bled through the blinds. By 6:30, the digits were more familiar than his own phone number.
It's just a call. It's not like he'll answer.
He picked up his phone, typed the 10 digits, and held his thumb over the green button.
Just press it. Whatever happens, happens.
He pressed the button. The line opened with a dry hiss, then the first ring, 4 rings, 5. He almost hung up. The 6th ring cut mid-tone.
It's a dead number. Of course it is. Nobody's been on the other end since when?
Then a click. The automated prompt, and then a human voice, tired and worn. It said, "You've reached Anthony." The inflection was his own, but older, hollowed out by something.
That's me. That's my voice. But I am not. I am right here.
The greeting paused, as if the speaker needed to gather strength. Anthony didn't breathe.
It can't be. The dead man gave me this number. It can't be my own.
The voicemail continued, but the first words had already rewritten everything he believed. He sat frozen, waiting for the rest of the message, already dreading what his own voice would say next. The message continued. The voice, his voice, sounded decades older, crushed by exhaustion. It said, "If you are listening to this, you already did what you weren't supposed to do. Do not open drawer 27 again." The words landed like a physical blow. "We are running out of versions of you." A pause, then the line went dead.
Versions. There are other Mez, and they've been opening that drawer.
He stared at the calendar on his wall. The 14th of July. The toe tag date was the 17th of July.
3 days. That's how long I have. And then, what? I become another version in a drawer?
The warning was absolute, but his own voice had sounded utterly defeated, not reassured.
If he's me, then he knows I'll want to open it. He's begging because he already lost.
He sat, motionless, as the morning light filled the room, the void of that silent phone call growing colder. He replayed the voicemail, phone pressed to his ear until the earpiece grew warm.
Hear it again. Make sure it's not just your mind twisting sound.
He wrote each word on the notepad, his handwriting tight and controlled, no longer shaking.
Do not open drawer 27 again. Underline that. Burn it into the page.
He underlined the sentence 3 times, the pen nearly tearing through the paper.
This is my handwriting. My words, but I didn't speak them.
He placed the notepad beside the intake sheet from the morgue, the number from the body's mouth in his own script.
The 17th of July. 3 days. I need to see it every morning until then.
He circled the date again, this time in thick black marker, a countdown he couldn't ignore.
I won't open that drawer. He warned me. I have to believe him.
That night, the drive to the hospital stretched longer than usual. Every traffic light felt like a warning. The basement hallway was worse. Fluorescent tubes buzzed, and the air smelled of antiseptic and old cement. He pushed into the morgue, the door's metal weight solid and cold against his palm. His eyes locked on drawer 27 immediately. Still closed, still silent, he sat at the desk, but his reflection in the stainless steel drawer fronts looked gaunt, older.
It's been 12 hours. Maybe nothing will happen tonight.
He forced himself to work, checking tomorrow's intake list, but his gaze kept drifting back.
The logbook still shows drawer 27 as vacant. Like I dreamed the whole thing.
A subtle metallic groan echoed from the wall of drawers. Not loud, but unmistakable.
Don't move. Don't look. If you don't look, it didn't happen.
He forced his hands onto the keyboard. The hospital database login screen stared back. He typed the name from the toe tag, Evan Michaels. The cursor blinked. Then he hit enter. The screen refreshed. No records found. Not alive, not dead, not even billing.
Not even a misspelled variation. It's like he never existed.
He tried alternate spellings, phonetic guesses. Each search ended in the same blank stare. The hospital's records were exhaustive. If Evan Michaels had ever been within 50 miles, it would know.
The toe tag was laminated, professional. This wasn't a prank. He was real.
He leaned back, the chair creaking in the thick silence. The drawer groaned again. He didn't look.
I can't explain any of this. Not scientifically, not rationally. Just 3 days. Stay away from drawer 27. That's all I have to do.
The clock on the wall ticked toward 2:14 a.m., the same minute that had shattered his world the night before. Anthony glanced at the institutional clock, its hands aligning just as they had during his first shift. From the wall of drawers, a muffled thud answered. Not the sharp crack of last night, but a patient, deliberate knock.
It knows I am here. It knows I am waiting.
He stood, his chair scraping the concrete floor, and took one step toward the drawer before his brain caught up.
Sit down. You promised. You heard the warning.
He clamped his jaw and lowered himself back into the seat, every muscle protesting. The thud did not repeat. Only the hum of the refrigeration unit filled the silence.
Just wait. 3 days. Then maybe this ends.
He remained motionless as the fluorescent lights flickered, the clock ticking past 2:15 without further disturbance. But silence has a weight. After 20 minutes, the waiting broke something inside him. He rose and walked to drawer 27. He yanked the handle. The drawer glided out, empty. No body, no sheet, only a small white rectangle tucked in the corner.
Empty. After all that, empty. That can't be right.
He picked up the paper. It was torn from a notepad, the edges crisp with cold. Written in his own handwriting, the words, "You opened it again. Stop."
That's my handwriting. The same slant, the same pressure.
He stared at the note, then at the drawer, then back at the note. The loop wasn't a warning from the future. It was a confession from the past.
A previous version of me wrote this. He already failed. And now I am him. How many times has this happened? How many versions of me are left?
The note trembled in his hand. Now he understood. He was not the first Anthony, and he would not be the last.
Marcus, I found something. You have to see it. It's in my handwriting.
Anthony, this better be real. I am not coming down there for another ghost story.
Marcus pushed through the door a minute later, his heavy boots echoing on the polished concrete. He stopped when he saw Anthony's face. Anthony thrust the note forward. Marcus took it, holding it under the harsh fluorescence, and his frown deepened. He turned the paper over, then opened the logbook on the desk, comparing the slant. The handwriting was identical.
This isn't funny, Anthony. Someone's messing with you bad. You need to go home and sleep.
It's real. I know my own handwriting. There's something wrong with that drawer. Marcus, I can't explain it, but it's real.
I've been a cop, then a guard here for 20 years. I know a prank when I see one. Go home. Don't call me again.
Marcus handed back the note and left without another word. The door's heavy thud separated them.
He'll never believe me. Nobody will. I am on my own with this thing.
Marcus's footsteps faded. Anthony sat alone, the note flat on the desk, his fingers trembling.
It's my handwriting, but I need to see it next to something I wrote today.
He opened the logbook, turned to his last entry, and laid the note beside it. Every slant, every loop, every pressure point matched. This was written by another version of himself.
The failure belongs to a different me. I refuse to repeat it.
Cold clarity replaced fear. He wasn't fighting monsters. He was fighting the loop. He folded the note carefully and tucked it into his lab coat pocket, close to his heart. The calendar on the wall showed the 15th of July. 2 days left. Time enough to prove the cycle could be broken.
I am not just another version. I am the one who closes this drawer for good.
His hands were steady now. He would not open drawer 27 again. Not tonight. Not ever. The next evening, Anthony arrived 30 minutes early. He needed to see the night's intake before anyone else. At the delivery bay, Marcus was already there, pushing a gurney with a black body bag toward the morgue doors. Anthony's heart slammed against his ribs. He jogged over, his voice catching in his throat. He reached the gurney and lifted the corner of the sheet just enough to see the laminated tag. His blue nitrile gloves crinkled.
Not Evan Michaels. The name was unfamiliar, and the date of death was today's. A stranger.
He let the sheet fall and exhaled, but the relief curdled instantly. Tomorrow was the 17th.
You okay, Reeves? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Thought it was someone I knew. It's nothing.
Marcus grunted and pushed the gurney into the cold storage. Anthony stood rooted, watching the door close.
Tomorrow, that's when it happens. I'll be ready.
Later that night, the beige desk phone screamed into the morgue's cold silence. Anthony's spine snapped straight. No one called the morgue at this hour without a body incoming. He lifted the receiver, his knuckles white against the black plastic. A crackle, then his own voice, younger, urgent, and not quite right. Spoke 2 words: "You have to decide." The line went dead with a violent hiss of static.
That wasn't a recording. It was live. He's watching me right now.
The receiver slipped in his sweaty grip. He stared at his reflection in the stainless steel drawer fronts. A ghost in scrubs.
Decide what? Whether to open the drawer. That's the only choice that matters.
He hung up the phone and pressed his palms flat against the cold desk. The note in his pocket crinkled faintly.
I already decided. I won't open it. That's my answer.
He rose, walked to the supply cabinet, and pulled out a roll of yellow caution tape. Starting at the top hinge, he drew long strips of tape across the drawer, criss-crossing the handle. He tore off a final strip with his teeth, pressing it firmly against the cold steel. He grabbed a marker and a scrap of paper, then printed, "Do not open." He fixed the sign to the center of the tape with another strip, then stepped back.
If I can't trust my own hands, I can trust this tape.
He planted his feet on the polished concrete and gave a single sharp nod.
No one opens this drawer tonight. Not me. Not anyone.
The seal was primitive, but it stood between him and everything the loop wanted. The morgue felt smaller now, but his hands were still. The 17th of July arrived like a black mark on the calendar, and Anthony spent every minute watching the clock. He paced a trench into the polished concrete, his sneakers leaving faint scuffs near the drain.
The drawer is sealed. The number is in my pocket. There's nothing left but waiting.
2:14 a.m. blinked onto the digital display, then passed into 2:15 without a sound.
Nothing. Maybe the loop broke. Maybe I am the one who made it stop.
Then the delivery bay buzzer tore through the silence, a single abrasive blare.
They're bringing one in. Tonight. Of all nights, they're bringing a body tonight.
He walked to the delivery entrance, his legs moving before his mind could catch up. A silent orderly pushed a covered gurney, its metal frame rattling on the concrete seams. Anthony stepped aside, his heart battering his ribs, and watched the gurney roll past him into the cold storage. The orderly handed Anthony the intake clipboard and vanished back through the bay doors. The gurney's metal frame gleamed under the harsh fluorescence. Anthony's fingers cramped as he printed his name on the intake line. The pen nearly slipped from his glove. He set the clipboard aside and reached for the sheet, his blue nitrile gloves trembling. He lifted the corner, then ripped the sheet away in one convulsive motion. The face on the gurney was his own, pale still, wearing an expression of terminal exhaustion. The laminated toe tag stated, "Evan Michaels, date of death, the 17th of July, 2022.
That's my face. That's today's date. This is the body from the drawer. The same date, the same name.
He let the sheet fall. The body lay exposed, identical to the man staring at it.
I did what he said. I didn't open drawer 27. Why is this still happening?
He backed against the cold drawer unit, heart hammering, but his eyes never left his own dead face.
You didn't open it. This body isn't yours. It's just another John Doe.
He grabbed the intake clipboard and printed, with deliberate slowness, drawer 42.
Not 27. Never 27. The warning was clear.
He wheeled the gurney to the far wall and unlocked a fresh drawer. The stainless steel slid open without complaint. The body tray transferred smoothly. He guided it in, the drawer consuming his own face inch by inch. He pushed the drawer shut and heard the lock click into place. A single, clean sound.
That's it. It's done. I didn't open drawer 27. I chose another.
His gaze drifted to drawer 27. The yellow tape was untouched. The "Do Not Open" sign, still pristine. The tape held. The seal was unbroken. The loop's demand had been denied.
I changed the pattern. That has to mean something. It has to.
At 6 in the morning, his shift ended. He walked to the break room on legs that felt hollow. He poured cold coffee from a stained pot, his hands shaking so badly the mug rattled. He sat at the plastic table and stared at nothing. The coffee cooled without him drinking.
The body in drawer 42 has my face, but I am breathing. I am still here. I didn't open it. I didn't open drawer 27.
The words were a prayer and a prison. The loop had been denied, but the cost sat in his bones. He thought of the taped drawer, the "Do Not Open" sign still pressed against the steel. It had held. The first gray light of dawn crept through the small, high window of the break room.
Another version of me is dead in that drawer, but I am still here. That has to be enough.
He stood, gathered his worn coat, and walked out into the hospital's empty morning corridor. 4 years later, Anthony Reeves still worked the same morgue. His hair threaded gray, his face carved deeper. A young man in crisp scrubs trailed him, clipboard in hand, his questions still fresh and naive.
What about that one? Drawer 27. I've never seen it opened. Never opened that one. Ever.
The words dropped like a weight. No explanation, no softening.
He doesn't need to know. He won't believe it anyway.
The young man stared at the yellow tape, the faded "Do Not Open" sign, and held his questions inside. Anthony turned away and walked to the intake desk, his lab coat brushing against the cold steel cabinets. The drawer remained sealed, a silent monument to years of restraint. In the stillness, the refrigeration unit hummed, and drawer 27 gave no sign of what it had once contained. Late one night, the young attendant sat alone at the intake desk, the morgue silent but for the refrigeration hum. The wall clock ticked to 2:14 a.m. He didn't notice. His pen scratched across intake forms. A muffled thud came from drawer 27. The yellow tape stretched, creaking under sudden pressure. The young man looked up, his pen freezing mid-word. The drawer slid open an inch on its own, mist curling outward. He rose slowly, Anthony's flat warning replaying in his mind. Never open that one. His hand reached for the handle, the cold fog swirling around his shoes. Curiosity overpowered caution. From the dark gap, a pale human hand extended, fingers curled in a silent beckon. He stumbled backward, but the hand retracted, and the drawer pulled open wider on its own, as if inviting him in. Cold fog poured across the floor, swallowing the room. The drawer stood fully agape, its interior an abyss. The fluorescent lights flickered once and died. In the sudden dark, a soft dragging sound came from inside the drawer.